Good morning. I'm Amy Gilligan, and on behalf of BizTimes.biz and the Telegraph Herald, welcome to the 2021 Rising Stars Award event. Yay for bacon and breakfast. Everybody get some? Good. So this award, honoring leadership among up-and-comers in the tri-state area, has been a tradition at the TH since 2003, and we're happy to be doing it again, especially here in 2021, and gathering together like this. My husband and I were talking this weekend about our week and what we had coming up, and I mentioned that this was on the docket for the week, and he said, "That's happening already, so I guess this means once again I'm not going to be a rising star. I would have been notified." I'm like, "Oh, honey, you've gone around that bend. That's just not going to happen. You're in a different category now." And he's like, "Well, when is the TH going to start hosting the Dying Nova Awards?" Danita's like, "Yep, I know him. Yeah, I can hear that." So Rising Stars is one of my favorite events because we get to tell the stories of the people, as the name implies, that are on the rise. And I feel like my generation was kind of the first to start talking about work-life balance, but for us that really meant work and family. And in this generation, I see that it looks like there's work, there's family, and that's just not enough. They need to find room for volunteering, and I need to find room for giving back and serving the greater good. And, a lot of people, I think, draw inspiration and motivation from the generation that came before them, and I really feel personally motivated by this next generation. It's a very open-minded generation, and just really impressed with the giving back in the community, and that's really evidenced, and you'll see it today in some of the stories we're about to tell. So we're proud to shine the spotlight today on the 2021 Rising Stars, who are all those things, and they excel in their careers at the same time. We bring this event in partnership with our sponsor for this event, Dubuque Bank and Trust, and we're grateful for their support. And let's see, do we have a video? DB&T? Not today? Okay, we're just going to start with Tyson. So Tyson Leyendecker is president and CEO for DB&T. Tyson has more than 15 years of banking experience, and he is a 2018 Rising Star. Tyson?
Thanks, Amy. I guess we're going to have to work on the technology side with the video, because usually we have something kind of fun to play. Yeah, please. We need that. So good morning, everyone. I'm Tyson Leyendecker, as Amy mentioned, President and CEO of Dubuque Bank and Trust. We're pleased to be the presenting sponsor once again this year for such a great community event. We've fortunately been able to be the presenting sponsor for a number of years, and it's important for us to continue to be a part of this community and giving back to all the things that we get in return. So last year I had the opportunity to be up here, and ironically I brought a script up here with me, which I thought was kind of funny because I don't know if I felt a little rusty or what exactly was happening, but it was our first event, my first event really coming off of or after being shut down from COVID, and I thought to myself, I said, this is kind of ironic to have a script because as we all went in lockdown in March of 2020, I don't think any of us had a script about what to do or how to do it. So I thought to myself, and I thought about that, I don't know why, repeatedly from last year to today. And I said, well, I definitely don't need a script for this one. So with that, I know all the Rising Stars that are being awarded today did not have a script on this past, what we'll call probably 18 months now plus. I do think, though, we'll all come out of this a lot stronger as we've had opportunities to learn from each other. We've had opportunities to learn through some pretty unprecedented times that hopefully future generations don't have to deal with. But I think we'll, again, emerge much stronger than what we came into this as. So with that, I've had the opportunity to meet a number of the Rising Star recipients and work closely with them. And thank you for all you do in the community. I look forward to hearing and learning more about the ones that I aren't as closely aligned with or know yet. And so with that, congratulations to the award recipients and to the class of 2021. And I'll turn it back over to Amy. Thanks.
I'm pleased to introduce our speaker today. He is a 2019 recipient of the Rising Star Award, and that is Wes Hardig. Wes is the CEO of MedOne, a pharmacy benefit solution guiding consumers to the most appropriate prescription treatment at the most affordable price. Prior to his current role at MedOne, Wes worked for a venture capital firm in Nashville, Tennessee called Martin Ventures, where he focused on investing in healthcare technology businesses. Prior to joining Martin Ventures, Wes worked as a relationship manager with Fifth Third Bank in their healthcare lending division. Wes attended the University of Dayton and studied finance and entrepreneurship, and he's a proud Dubuque native and boomerang, having moved back to Dubuque in 2016 with his wife, Allie. They have 2 kids, Nora and James, and Wes proudly serves on some nonprofits, including Camp Albrecht Acres Foundation, the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Dubuque, and Area Residential Care. Please welcome Wes Hardig.
Morning, everyone. Unlike Tyson, I do have a script, just so in case I go off the rails, I wanted to stay on track. And Bob reminded me of a Mark Twain quote that if you want me to talk for 2 hours, I'll start right away. But if you want me to talk for 2 minutes, I'm going to have to think about it a little bit. So I'll do my best here, keep it short and sweet so we can spend time highlighting our rising stars. So congratulations to all of our 2021 rising stars. My name is Wes Hardig with MedOne, and I'm humbled for the opportunity to speak this morning, particularly given that I personally look to many of our 2021 rising stars as examples. A few thank yous to start. Thank you to the Telegraph Herald for honoring community leaders year after year. There's a lot of time and energy put in by many people at the TH who make this event a reality, and the impact it has on Dubuque is exponential. Thank you to the business leaders and family members who have nominated those we are honoring today and who have provided the opportunity for these leaders to flourish here in Dubuque. And thank you to our 2021 Rising Stars. Thank you for the impact you are making in our community. Your hard work, compassion, commitment, and talent all play a major role in the positive impact you have on those around you, as well as your personal and professional success. However, I believe there are at least 2 other X factors that set our rising stars apart. The first X factor is known as reciprocity style. Reciprocity style has been researched and written about extensively by organizational psychologist Adam Grant. Reciprocity style is academic jargon for how you interact with those around you. Grant contends that everyone in this room can be bucketed into one of 3 groups: takers, givers, and matchers. Takers try to get as much from other people as possible while contributing as little as they can. Givers are generally people who enjoy helping others and are fine with giving more than they receive. And matchers aim for quid pro quo. I help you, you help me. We all have moments of taking, giving, and matching. Our style is driven by how we treat most of the people most of the time. Grant's research points to 3 interesting findings. Finding number 1, more than half of the folks in this room are matchers, which makes sense. It seems like a safe way to live our life. Steve, thanks so much for your help with that project. I bought you this bottle of wine as a thank you. Finding number 2, the worst performers in the workplace are givers, which also makes sense. I spent so much time helping Joe with his project that I fell behind on mine. And finding number 3, the best performers in the workplace, also givers. So what differentiates between a low-performing giver and a high-performing giver? Grant's research tells us the answer, in short, is the ability to find small ways to add large value to people's lives. The skill can be more succinctly described as a 5-minute favor. A 5-minute favor is exactly as it sounds, a small action you can take to help someone out that takes less than 5 minutes. Now, the good news here is we don't have to be Mother Teresa to be a giver. We don't have to dedicate our lives or clear our calendars to become a high-performing giver. 5-minute favors can be practiced in every aspect of our lives and to a wide audience: coworkers, family, friends, and even complete strangers. Make an introduction. Teach someone a new skill. Help someone with an application. Share an idea. Or send a handwritten letter. Just a few examples. I would challenge us all to think about how we can exhibit more giver behavior in a productive manner through 5-minute favors. There's no doubt in my mind we are in the midst of some high-performing givers today. Don't take it from me. Take it from those who interact with our rising stars on a regular basis, who you'll hear from in a little bit. The second X factor I observe in our rising stars is balance. If I pulled off my best Steve Harvey impression and asked the room today to describe our rising stars in one word, I would put money on the fact that busy would be on the board, if not at the top. Our rising stars are active in a lot of ways, aggressively working to make a difference in their workplace, interacting with fellow team members and customers, sharing their time and talents with our local nonprofit community, and keeping their families at the center of their busy lives. I'm inspired by our rising stars' ability to balance and prioritize what is important to each of them, and it reminds me of a story I once heard. A philosophy professor stood before his class and had some items in front of him. When class began, wordlessly, he picked up a large empty mayonnaise jar and proceeded to fill it with rocks right to the top, rocks about 2 inches in diameter. He then asked the students if the jar was full. They agreed that it was. So the professor then picked up a box of pebbles and poured them into the jar. He shook the jar lightly. The pebbles, of course, rolled into the open areas between the rocks. The students laughed. He asked his students again if the jar was full. They agreed that yes, it was. The professor then picked up a box of sand and poured it into the jar. Of course, the sand filled up everything else. He then once more asked if the jar was full. The students responded with a unanimous yes. The professor then produced 2 cans of beer from under the table and proceeded to pour the entire contents into the jar, effectively filling the empty space between the sand. Now, said the professor, I want you to recognize that this is your life. The rocks are the important things, your family, your health, your children. Anything that is so important to you that if it were lost, you would be nearly destroyed. The pebbles are the other things in life that matter, but on a smaller scale. The pebbles represent material things, like your job, your house, your car, and the sand is everything else, the small stuff. If you put the sand or pebbles in the jar first, there's no room for the rocks. The same goes for your life. If you spend all your energy and time on the small stuff, material things, you'll never have room for the things that truly matter the most. Pay attention to the things that are critical in your life. Play with your children. Call a friend you haven't spoken to in a while. There will always be time to go to work, clean the house, fix the disposal. Take care of the rocks first, the things that really matter. Set your priorities. The rest is just pebbles and sand. One of the students raised her hand and inquired what the beer represented. The professor smiled. I'm glad you asked. It just goes to show you that no matter how full your life may seem, there's always room for a couple of beers. In closing, I'd like to offer another big congratulations to our rising stars. Please take the time to enjoy this special recognition, and may this celebration serve as fuel to your fire to make a difference to those around you, through actions both large and small. Thank you again for reminding us how to prioritize and balance all of life's demands and keeping enough room for the rocks, pebbles, sand, and of course a few beers. Thank you.
Thank you, Wes. I want to introduce a few of our Telegraph Herald and Woodward Communications folks who are here today. Running our live stream back there is Paul Kreutsides, and with help from Dale Campbell. Paul's also the one that is the creator of the video, again with Dale's assistance. And as you'll see, they do a great job. They're a great team, and we're really proud of our video work. Also today we have, let me make sure I don't miss anybody here. So our publisher and vice president, Bob Woodward. You can hold your applause. Thank you, though. Luke Rodham is our retail manager. Megan Gloss is our features editor. Cindy Olson is sales and audience development manager. And let's see, Jody Dodd is the one who organizes this and other TH events and helped put on this today. So anybody I missed here? Is Teresa here? Teresa Lyson was helping out, I think, one of our advertising folks. Dave Kettering. Is that who you're pointing at? Dave Kettering, our photographer, will be shooting some pictures, so you'll see him. So on behalf of all of us, thanks for being here this morning. And I also want to recognize, we often have former Rising Stars that come back for this event. If there's anybody here going back to 2003 who was a past Rising Star, would you please stand? And I want to recognize the committee that chose this year's Rising Stars. And so for those on the selection committee, if they're here, would they please stand, and we'll hold our applause again. Stacy Hines, Anderson Sancy, Jody Stricker, and Mike Fortman. Mike couldn't be with us today, our associate publisher, but thank you to all of you for your work on the selection committee. We've got some really outstanding picks, and with that, I think we will begin with our first Rising Star honoree, and that is Brian Davis of Cottingham and Butler.
So when I think of Brian's character, I think of someone who is so committed to excellence that he won't let us do anything that doesn't reach the highest level of perfection, right? He wants us to put our best foot forward in everything that we do. He cares, he's committed, and he's not afraid ever to kind of wander into areas he doesn't know, figure it out, and give us, 110% of the effort.
The one word I would use to best describe my character, I think, would be optimist. And I don't mean optimist in the traditional sense of everything's just going to work out or I have luck on my side. It's really about having an expectation that there's always a solution. We're always going to be able to figure it out. And that optimistic ideal or attitude has served me really well in the problems that I face, both at work, at home, in my hobbies, or whatever it might be.
Most people, when they're doing charitable stuff, they get on a board and do things. What Brian does is the little things of coaching kids, helping out at the schools, providing support for some of our community organizations in the quietest way, like I'm going to go bring lunches to them or the like. What Brian wants to be in almost all things is behind the scenes. And yet the reality is he's a driving force in what happens.
A big passion of mine is my family. Everything I do is about my family and why I do it. And it comes from how I was raised. My parents left such an impression on me and who I am and how I work and how I think and how I really interact with people. And I want my kids to have that kind of same interaction.
What I see Brian continuing to do is to lean into what I think is the biggest challenges of the day. And he's not afraid, and I've assigned him new things to do, kind of year in and year out, where he can bring his special talents to our biggest problems. What he's going to continue to do is what he's always done, is reinforce our culture of better every day and kind of be on the forefront of helping us as leaders and as a team.
My advice to anyone wanting to follow my footsteps would be, don't. This isn't about a defined path. I think about the opportunities that I've had here at this organization, at Cottingham and Butler, has come from being open. It's not come from sticking to a past saying that's not my job. It's come from being open to take on new challenges, to learn new things, and to really have a common response of how can I help? What can I do? And the more you're willing to take on, the more your opportunities open up.
Congratulations. And Hawks.
Well, I think it's pretty easy to describe Ellen's character. I think I would compartmentalize it into 4 different areas. 1, she's incredibly inspiring. 2, she is very determined in whatever she puts her mind to. 3, she is very compassionate. So the way she goes about whatever project it is that she's taking on, she's compassionate in the way she handles it. And 4 would be she's tenacious. So whatever it is she's doing, she attacks it, she gets it done, she accomplishes whatever she sets her mind to do.
The one thing I am most passionate about in life is people. Community building, whether that's through working with nonprofits, working with campaigns, community organizations and initiatives. I am passionate about connecting people and making change.
I think it's really important to understand that she is somebody who is going to make a difference, not only in our community, but in our state as a whole. She works far outside our community. She works with our legislators, both at the local level and at the state level, even at the national level. And she always is trying to create partnerships that can benefit whatever it is that we're trying to achieve here in our community. And she works really hard on those fronts. And I believe she does her best to kind of, make our small world better.
For me, I think the most inspirational person or people to me are my daughters. I appreciate the way that they approach every day with curiosity and joy and kindness, and I'm certainly very much inspired by them. I think the advice that I would give reflects one of my favorite Rumi quotes, which is, "Don't be satisfied with someone else's story, unfold your own myth."
Wow, in 5 to 10 years, I hope that I'm still working with her during all of that time. She does such a great job now, but with every single grant that she approaches, every single organization that she works with, she continues to improve and enhance the work that she does. I think she'll just get better and better as the years progress.
To Ellen Goodman Miller. Our next rising star is Gisela Aitken-Shadle. East Iowa Community College, sorry.
When we talk about Zazella's character, I would use the word care. C stands for compassion. A stands for advocacy, and she is not shy about speaking on behalf of somebody. R is about resilient, very persistent in what she believes in. And E is about enthusiasm. Everything that she embraces comes with full force of enthusiasm. And so care is how I would describe Giselle.
So I had the great pleasure to meet Gisella when she started teaching for us in our adult literacy program in our English as a second language. So she started off as an instructor, and then she moved away with her husband, and we had an opening for our adult literacy director position. And our former director, Sharon, said, I'd love to have Gisella come back and interview. So her desire to come back and take on this position, and even though it was a very difficult decision because her husband was still living out of state, and for her to come back and take this on, she did a long commute, but she stayed extremely engaged with her passion to make sure that we were meeting our adult literacy needs.
I am most passionate about helping people be successful, helping people strive and be the best version of themselves. I believe that everyone can be successful and that everyone's dreams can be accomplished. We all just need a little help from someone, and we just need someone to believe in them. Why I believe this is because my parents believed in me, and I believe that everyone needs and is entitled to a cheerleader or someone to believe in them, to empower them to be their very best.
Right now, she just stepped down from the College Senate, which is a committee made up of faculty and staff at NICC. And she just stepped down representing the Future Leadership Committee of the Greater Dubuque Development Corporation. So those are just two instances of what she has been doing right now. I see that in 5 to 10 years, we have yet to see a larger scope of her leadership potential.
Everyone wants to hear advice, to get advice, but no, very few people want to hear it. But if I have to remember, is to always strive and work hard. Always remember where you are, where you came from, and where you want to go. Never lose passion, never lose compassion. Always care for everyone that surrounds you, and just be you. Be the best version that you can be. Always remembering to lead, learn, and serve.
Aitken Shadle. Our next rising star is Amanda Iberg of Verena Street Coffee and Zazu's Bridal Boutique and Tuxedos.
I guess the first impression was that, we hired her because we thought it seemed like she had, good follow through, and actually my wife had worked with her in a nonprofit setting and had good things to say about her, about projects. Not just coming up with ideas, but actually following through and doing the legwork as well. And definitely have seen that, since she's worked for us, taking ownership and pride in things as if it's her own.
Amanda will do anything for small business, large corporations, nonprofits, and she really will just go take herself out of her comfort zone to make Dubuque a better place. If you ask her for assistance or if you know her skill set, her character is always first and foremost to make a better home and a better community for all of us.
I have many role models, including Jody Stricker at Zazu's Bridal, Jill Paisley with Lucky 13 Design, and Whitney Sanger with Project Rooted. Much like them, I aspire to be a strong, independent woman who is a hard worker and can make a difference in our community while working for a small business.
When we hired her, volunteer work was an important thing for her. And one question she had was, as far as paid time off or availability to do those things. And so we did add a volunteer time off program at the time. So she kind of prompted that for us as a company.
I'm the event chair for Dubuque YP Days of Caring. I also serve on the board for Camp Albrecht Acres and serve as the marketing chair in volunteer committees. I am involved with many fundraising events throughout the year that I am truly passionate about. We partake in the fireworks, the golf outing, the gala, and many breakfasts. Camp is so important to me because I feel like I can give back to our community and help give to the children who attend camp.
A lot of times there's a lot thrown at her from a lot of different directions, from a lot of different people, and a lot of things are day to day. I need this tomorrow, but she is very good at letting me know then if okay, I've caught up in a few things, what's next. So what I see is, as the company grows and we add more resources, she's always willing and interested, in taking on more, taking on the next thing, getting to the next step as a company. So I definitely see her, learning more and taking on more roles.
Any company that Amanda ever works for, she will always help grow your company, and that's just something you can't say about most people. She has a very, very special place in my heart, and I am more than proud of her, and I just wish her nothing but the best.
Congratulations to Amanda Iberg. Our next rising star is Lauren Meinert of Kunkel & Associates.
Lauren's character, she is talented, she is fearless, and someone that is working every day to improve the amazing culture we have here at Kunkel & Associates. It made even more special in how Lauren goes the extra mile each and every day for those that work with her. Whether giving her all to help us recruit top talent in the Midwest, or making sure our current leadership group is deeply involved in our community programs or the internship program that we have here. But she does that with that infectious smile that she brings to work every day. And you can't help but smile with her because she loves what she is doing and it's contagious.
Lauren's confidence has soared. She is in a very demanding role and one that can sometimes present uncomfortable situations. Lauren doesn't shy away from anything, and she's eager to learn and she's motivated to succeed. It's a perfect recipe for success and growth.
One word that describes my character is determined. I'm a very determined person. When I put my mind to something, I go all for it. I put my whole drive behind whatever I'm passionate about doing.
When it comes to community involvement, I think the most impressive thing about Lauren that most people don't even know is that she's not even from the Dubuque area. Lauren was not born and raised here. She did not go to school here. And I just think that's so neat because she's such an icon for the community already. When Lauren moved here, she moved here to be with her fiance after she graduated from college, and she started her career here with Kunkel & Associates. In a very short amount of time, she worked very hard to get invested in our community and took on some volunteer work with some really extraordinary nonprofits. She dug right in and did fundraising events, planned those events, and even worked on marketing and social media campaigns. Since she's been here, I know that she's worked with the American Heart Association, the Fountain of Youth program, Opening Doors, TRIRA, as well as the Women's Leadership Network of Dubuque.
Kim Buddy inspires me every single day. She inspires me to be the best version of myself. I look up to how great of a mother, friend, mentor, and community member she is. I hope to one day follow in her footsteps. Another way that I really like to give back is by our internship class. Throughout the school year, I recruit students from all over the Midwest to come to Kunkel & Associates. All of these interns push me to be an up-and-coming leader within our community and my organization at Kunkel & Associates. The advice that I would give to someone wanting to be a rising star would be get involved, network in our community, ask questions, go to anything that you can just to get outside your comfort zone and really learn about your true passion.
Our next rising star is Jared McGovern of the National Mississippi River Museum and Aquarium.
So when I think about Jared McGovern, a lot of things come into my mind. Passionate, exciting, dynamic, loves the River Museum and Aquarium, loves the conservation programs he does, his interactions with our guests. He's the best at getting down on hands and knees with young children, talking to honeymooners, talking to adults, and everything he does shows how much he cares about his job and his impact on conservation.
You know, when he was in college, he would make a point to stop by and see Grandma and Grandpa whenever he was home. So just his dedication to his job and his education and his family. You'll never meet anybody like Jared.
The reason I'm most passionate about people is because we are the solution to many conservation issues: water quality, biodiversity collapse, climate change. You know, I got into this field because I loved wildlife. I like spending time in the outdoors. I felt solitude and peace, and I had just a fascination in animals. Reading zoo books, visiting zoos, going fishing, doing those kinds of things. But you know, over the years, I've evolved into a little bit more excited about the human component of conservation because we caused these problems. It is our fault, but on the flip side, we're also the solution. We can solve these issues, and I wholeheartedly believe that. I will always have hope that something can be done.
He's always wanting to share his knowledge of the environment and the conservation with everybody and anybody he meets, from young children to elderly to state and local officials. Anybody who will listen, he's willing to share his story. He just wants to make the world a better place for his children and the next generation and for the future to come.
I think the impact Jared is having with some of these national organizations he's a part of, Association of Zoos and Aquariums, U.S. Fish and Wildlife, U.S. Geological Survey, I see him just having a bigger impact and then having a much bigger impact on our programs, building out this conservation program to be a bigger program, having more impact around the city, around the community, around the greater area.
So if I were to give anybody advice following in my footsteps, be gritty, be resilient, be hopeful, but understand that there is a difference between hopefulness and naive optimism. You need to understand that failure is not always a bad thing. It takes a resilient person to not let that bog you down, but to instead search out the good, search out the positive, search out the success stories. And most of those stories are because people made them so. Because there are some problems we cannot fix, but there are some that we can.
Jared McGovern. Our next rising star is Zach Hodge of Hodge.
Zach has been with Hodge for over 15 years and has held numerous positions across the company, from facilities maintenance at the very start of his career all the way up to Executive Vice President of Operations today. And the really neat thing about Zach is that he never stops learning. So we know as we continue to grow and evolve as a company, Zach will grow and evolve with us.
My passion definitely comes from my two boys, Oliver and Evan. Just keeping them active, healthy, and confident in themselves. We have a ton of fun, riding bikes together, swimming at the pool, doing puzzles, watching movies, you name it. Just always want to be setting a good example for them and, keeping them on a path to success.
There's always time for community organizations. Zach and I really learned this from our grandparents. They both instilled in us community and giving back to community from a very young age. And education is actually one of the components that Zach feels is truly important to give back to the community, and he's currently doing that, serving as board president for the Foundation of Public Schools, helping our community find ways to give back to the schools and give back to our youth and our students. Zach also really enjoys the outdoors and has helped a local mountain biking group called Timber build some of the best mountain biking trails within this area.
You really hope for two things when you start to transition a family business. You hope that the next generation sees it the way that you do and cares for it the way that you do, but equally you hope that they put their own stamp on it. He's a good leader, and I think that the way that you can tell that is the reaction that he gets from our employees, both the brand new ones and the seasoned employees. All look to him for leadership.
I've recently become a big fan of Simon Sinek and his Find Your Why concept. I believe it's very important for everybody to go through this process. My why surrounds my joy coming from high performance. So whether it's in work-related activities or my hobbies surrounding biking or tuning cars, my personal satisfaction just comes from high-performing systems. The second piece of advice that I would give is more on a professional level, and it's actually surrounds a quote that I really like from Teddy Roosevelt. And he said, "Nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care." And I think it's really important for every leader to buy into that concept. You need to gain the trust and respect of the people you work with before you can expect them to trust in your leadership.
To Zach Hodge. Our next rising star is Andy Link of Link Hydraulic.
I would describe Andy as a hardworking, ambitious, and just independent person. He grew up on a farm down in Bernard with a great family. So I feel like that work ethic is just in his blood. He knows the importance of having equipment working properly and on time when you need it. He's the type of guy that he shows up and he doesn't stop until the work is done.
The one thing I'm most passionate about in my life is my family. I go to work every day to provide for them and hopefully build a company that will sustain everything for them in the future that they hopefully can take over.
Over the years, Andy has continued just to stay determined and dedicated to his home life and the business. After high school, Andy went to Laramie, Wyoming to attend college at WyoTech, specializing in diesel mechanics. When he returned to Dubuque, he started at Link Hydraulic just to kind of gain some experience until he figured out what he wanted to do. And then at the age of 20, his uncle and boss at the time, Bob Link, the founder of the company, died in a motorcycle accident. So at that time, Andy was kind of put in the position, and he decided to step up, and with the help of his parents, took over Link Hydraulic.
I'd say my father's probably one of my biggest inspirations. He works every day, he farms, so he really doesn't, it's an uphill battle every day, and he goes to work every day and does it.
Where do I see Andy in 5 to 10 years? And he always said he wanted to retire by the age of 45, jokingly. And while he most certainly, I think, deserves that, we both know that won't happen. He's just too involved in his businesses to just step away. After the fire destroyed the main building and office back in February of 2018, Andy never skipped a beat, staying on task and helping out with the rebuild, and he just continued to be determined, and that's why he was able to reopen in October of that same year. So he just wants to keep doing what he's doing, and I don't ever see him slowing down. He's just an active guy and wants to stay, up in the business.
The advice I would give to someone that wants to follow in mine would be, if you put the time in and do the hardest work you can do, it will pay off someday. It does take time, but it will pay off.
Congratulations to Andy Link. Our next rising star is Corey Young from the University of Wisconsin-Platteville and Key City Pride.
Corey is somebody who definitely exhibits true grit. He's somebody who I would definitely go to if we had kind of a long-term project that we needed done, because I think Corey is a person, when I think of him, I think of endurance. He's definitely been through many different trials, tribulations, projects, different collaborations, and I think that he's always willing to put in the work for the things that he cares about, and I think that's what a lot of people admire about him.
For myself as a queer man, being in Dubuque sometimes can be tough, and I think Corey, as another queer person of color, knows what that experience is to be here. So we're seeing all these identities and experiences intersect with one another. And one thing that Corey's been able to do is at least begin a conversation and show that Black, brown, queer people of color can have a space in a community like Dubuque.
As a queer Black man of color, I've learned that this life isn't easy, but if you have passion and zest and thrill, you can go far and do anything you want to do with it. And so I've learned to live fearlessly and not really worry about what others might think or might say. As long as I know that I'm doing what's good, I know I can go far.
Corey works very tirelessly to support a lot of not just the entertainment in town, but also a lot of the activist work and a lot of the support that we give to folks who are often left marginalized or left on the sidelines. And so I think Corey does this not just out of personal interest, but he sees the need and also sees his ability to bring life, I think, to some of these ideas and really see them all the way through. Corey's not just a person who sits around the table and thinks of ideas, he's the person who goes out and executes them.
The most inspirational person to me is a figure by the name of Bayard Rustin. Most people don't know who he is, but Bayard was someone who was very influential in the civil rights movement. He's also the one who introduced Dr. King to the teachings and methodologies of Gandhi as a openly gay Black man. A good part of his life was kind of hidden in the shadows, but he didn't let that stop him from doing the work that needed to be done. And so I definitely credit a lot of what I do to the memory and the ideologies of Bayard Rustin.
In 5 to 10 years, I would see Corey still clearly working in an advocacy role of some sort. Hopefully still here at UW-Platteville, but we'll see. But I see him always being involved in the LGBTQ community, in any community that he's living and working in. He doesn't just show up for work, he shows up for the rest of things as well. So I think he'll definitely be in some sort of advocacy role, some sort of leadership role, and always giving back to his community.
Anytime you see him, give him a pat on the back, because there's something he's working on. He's the type of person who doesn't really have, I think, downtime. Even though he likes to travel a lot, usually it's right back to work when he comes back. So if you ever see Corey, give him a pat on the back, or just let him know that you see the work that he's doing.
Very young. Our next rising star is Danielle Moore of John Deere.
Danielle's a go-getter. She, being a female African-American engineer, those are very unique characteristics. So the fact that she's attained this status, she has a lot of drive, and I really admire that about her.
What I'm most passionate about in my life right now is really making lasting memories with my family. I have 3 young children, and it's really important for me to create lasting memories with them. For us, that looks like going on vacation, making new recipes, letting them see me work hard every day, do community service, and be the best human that I can be.
Well, she went from an intern to a full-time employee, to a manager, to a wife, to a mother of 3. If that's not growth, I don't know what is growth.
I am currently a member of the Mercy One board. I've been on that board for 6 years, and I've got another 3-year stint on that board. I do community service with my church, Rock of Ages Baptist Church. We do back-to-school supply donations, Thanksgiving meal services we've done in the past. I'm also a parent volunteer and donor for the Dream Center. My oldest son plays basketball there. And I also volunteer through John Deere, our multicultural awareness group. It's an employee resource group. I'm the president of that. And we do community service activities such as donation for Getting Ahead meals. We do Juneteenth celebrations and different interactions with the Multicultural Family Center here in Dubuque.
When I nominated her, we're thinking back, and I didn't realize that she wasn't over 40 because she has so much wisdom, so much intelligence to be so young, and so in 5 to 10 years, I see Danielle doing whatever she desires. She has the drive, she has the passion, the commitment, and the intelligence to do that. So I don't think you can cap her on anything, whether it's going to be a senior administrator at John Deere. Maybe she wants to come in higher education, we'll always welcome her.
I would say first and foremost, if you're looking to follow in my footsteps, first be confident. Be confident in everything that you do and know that you're smart and you can learn. If you don't know something now, you can learn it. And also don't be afraid to take a risk or step out and take a position or do an activity that may be challenging, but also maybe out of your comfort zone. Don't be afraid to step out there and do that.
To Danielle Moore. Our next rising star is Ava Schmid of Lotus Marketing Company.
I would describe Ava's character as one of the most energetic, enthusiastic, and hardworking individuals and professionals I've ever worked with. She's passionate about serving the underinsured and uninsured in our service area. She understands how we can best highlight our health center to connect with our patient base and tell our Crescent story better.
I think Eva has impacted the Dubuque community through her commitment to organizations that improve the quality of life here, whether through her work with Crescent Community Health Center, the Humane Society, and ARC, or through volunteerism with the Dubuque Symphony Orchestra. Eva is always looking to see how things can be better and more helpful to everyone.
The things I'm most passionate about in my life are my family, in particular my husband, Matt, and my son, Bennett, my clients, and my career. Super passionate about my clients because, there are 3 big nonprofits in the community, and I find it important to help them make as big of impact on our community as possible. And through our marketing programs, I feel like we're helping them accomplish that.
Eva's really grown over the period of time I've known her by bringing a unique perspective to the manner in which we market to our patients. She presents thoughtful and really unique concepts for us to consider in reaching out to our patient base. She then brings forward tidy metrics that help us to understand how successful that campaign was, and if we have areas of improvement, we quickly course correct with Eva's help, and then we go back and we do it again.
It's easy to surround yourself with people who allow you to maintain the status quo, and I find that it's important to surround yourself with people who don't accept that and who push you further. And so with that being said, Larry Hotelling is one of the most inspirational people to me. He is one of my first bosses and is one of my biggest inspirations professionally. He pushed me beyond what I thought I was capable of and taught me to always ask questions, push the envelope, and I think that without his influence in my life, I don't think I would be as ambitious or hardworking as I am today.
I'd like people to know that Eva is a really good person who is committed to worthy values and goals, who strives to live a Christian family life, to do good work for her loved ones and herself, and to give back to the community in which she lives.
Congratulations to Eva Schmidt. And finally, the next rising star is Katie Thomas of Honkamp Kruger.
Katie's got a lot of good character traits, but I think her number one character trait is that she's very humble. She's humble, she's bright, she's very empathetic, and you can always trust her to put other people's feelings first, which I think is really rare these days. It reminds me of a quote that I read out of a book from Simon Sinek. The book was entitled Leaders Eat Last, and the quote was, if your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, be more, and grow more, you're a leader. And I think all those things in that quote describe the effect Katie has on others.
The thing that I'm most passionate about in my life is my family. I love spending time with my husband and my 2 boys. We like to travel and do things together as a family.
Katie's grown over the years quite fast in our organization. She started out as an intern from Loras College at like age 20, 21. And by the time she was 29, she was the youngest partner at Honkamp Kruger. And at age 37, she's the president of our company. So I think that speaks for itself. She certainly has rocketed through our system with being the hardest working, most intelligent person in the organization.
I currently volunteer on the St. Columbkill Parent Association and the Dubuque Montessori School boards as the treasurer. When anyone finds out you're an accountant, they want you to be the treasurer. So I've gotten involved in those organizations because my children have either attended them or do currently attend them. I'm also on the Loras College CFP Advisory Board, and as a CFP and a Loras grad, that's something that's really important to me because I get to help other students along their careers towards financial advising.
In my 40-year career at Honkamp, I can't think of anyone else that's been as bright, articulate, hardworking, and fearless as this young lady. Well, I see Katie's career path in 5 to 10 years to be pretty strong. She's already the president of the company. She is earmarked to be the CEO, so she'll be taking my place. I think she's going to make our organization better, bigger, and I have nothing but great praise for her and wish her the best.
My advice for someone looking to follow in my footsteps would be to never be afraid. Always have confidence in yourself and always set high goals for yourself, and don't be afraid to fail once in a while.
It's to Katie Thomas. Thank you to everyone for being here today to help us honor these young people. I think we can all feel really good about the spirit of leadership we've seen in this room today. I want to give a shout out to Lori Ball and her staff. They do a wonderful job here at the Diamond Joe, and we love working with them. So thank you, Keith, Lori, everybody. And one more time for Paul Crutside and Dale Campbell. Those videos, don't they do an amazing job? On behalf of Biz Times and the TH and our sponsor DB&T, thank you for all you do for the community. I know that if you're here today supporting these young people, you're likely cut of the same cloth. So let's take a page from Wes and everybody do a 5-minute favor today. I like that. So have a great day. Thank you. And we'll do a quick picture of all the rising stars if you'd come up for a group picture real quick.